This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Sunday morning. With us is our good friend Steve Cates, otherwise known as Dr. Sky. And he's here every Sunday morning just to, I guess, entertain, enlarge our minds, and whatever. And Steve Cates, I've been stuck watching Star Trek, the original shows from 1960s. And you know what I can't believe? Those shows are 60 years old. And it was just amazing, and I've been enjoying them, and I've been watching them on Paramount. So one comes on, one after the other.
Well, John, you're so right. Gene Roddenberry was a genius, and obviously his legacy of creating the future that we now look at and maybe not even have some of those items as we welcome in November, John. But something interesting that I think people need to know about, we talk about the UFO subject in detail. But, John, some 9,000 objective reports coming in from a app that people might be interested in called Enigma. And they're reporting that they've had over 9,000, verifiable reports of things called unidentified submersible objects. So simply, in regular simple terms, these are UFO-type objects that are seen underwater, moving. And two most famous ones, we go back to 1967, John, October the 4th, in Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia. There were sightings, verifiable sightings, not only by civilians, but military and police, of an object descending from the sky, moving underwater. Nobody's ever been able to figure it out. That is a very strange one. And then we move fast forward to the future, when in 2004, the illusion of what might be these tic-tac objects seen going underwater, moving up to 80,000 feet. And you and I both know, John, if we have this technology, that's amazing. Where'd we get it? But many believe it's not from this world. Isn't that fascinating stuff?
Yes, many people believe it's not from this world. And, well, someday we'll find out. I mean, there's got to be some kind of disclosure. And when people say, it's ours, you know what I refer them back to? The Washington Post in, June or July 1952, front page of the Washington Post, 40 or 50 UFOs circling the capital of the United States. Certainly,
yes, John,
nobody from this world had them in 1952.
You're amazing, and that is amazing, John, because that story has really not gotten as much attention as it should. Seen over the nation's capital, nobody then, and even now, has an explanation. But, John, this is interesting, too. We move on to some strange-type weapons that are being built. One of them could be identified, as an unidentified submersible object. The Russians have developed a nuclear torpedo, John, called the Poseidon, supposedly some 65 feet in length, operated by AI, can allegedly move underwater at 100 knots. That's incredible. And the dark side of this is, some say they've tested it but never detonated it. 100 megaton nuclear warhead inside of this AI object. It's like chasing a fast fish. You can't really capture it. But if it were to detonate a 100 megaton nuclear warhead under the ocean, its purpose is to send a large 1,000-foot radioactive tsunami if it ever entered a harbor. So let's hope that cooler heads prevail. And they're also developing something called the Skyfall cruise missile, a nuclear cruise missile, John. This one can fly as low as 100 feet, stay in the air for days. But the problem thing for the particular Skyfall, they're saying, is the cruise missile, get a load of this, it releases nuclear toxins into the atmosphere, so it may not be that much of a positive type thing, but there's some great technology going on, hopefully not in the wrong hands.
Whatever happened to, we discussed it a few weeks ago, ever since the shutdown started, there's nobody putting out those chemicals up in the air.
John, this is one of the most amazing stories. It really is an enigma. We're going to have guests on the Dr. Sky Experience for listeners to stay tuned. I've corralled a guy who actually has a lot of expertise in this. And the simple thing is, since the shutdown, Many say we don't see the number of contrails. So if it wasn't the government, who was putting up that, and why are there not that many contrails? But we'll be having this gentleman come on in the future. His whole geoengineering site talks about this, John. And as you know, and everybody else who listens, we appreciate that, opening up our minds on great mysteries. And the final mystery, which we call the mystery of the week, John, here's something even more bizarre. In the universe, there are these objects or particles in gravity. We don't know if the description is right, called dark matter and dark energy. Well, dark matter is something that probably holds galaxies together or objects in space. Very complicated. But now astronomers have detected them. In other words, they don't give off any light, but the way that they can actually see them, if you call the word see something legitimate, is by something called gravitational lensing. And what that means is the warpage of space-time around gravity objects tends to make the object appear duplicate. So if you look at some of these objects in space, and I mentioned before that dark matter you can't see, but only under the conditions where there's such great gravity force, they show up as maybe a duplicate object in the heavens. That stuff is really mind-boggling. And that, of course, is our mystery of the week. What the heck is it? What makes it happen? Great mysteries.
Great mysteries. And what happened? What's the story on those other comets that were coming?
John, the big news story right now is this comet called 3I, for Interstellar Atlas. Many believe that this is simply a comet. I've been observing comets, John, for 20, 30 years through the telescope. I don't have all the sophisticated equipment that NASA has. But some in the astrophysics world claim that it could be a spacecraft. And when it gets closer to the sun, which is right around this period of time, astronomers will be looking to see if any changes come. But for the people that believe it's a spacecraft, some have alleged that it might be releasing little sublet craft or some type of objects when it gets close to the sun. Right now, John, if I were to be a betting man.
Wasn't it slowing up for some reason, and then they were surprised because it wasn't supposed to slow up?
Well, John, I don't know about that specifically. I'm always honest with you and the listeners. But what I do know is the spectra or the chemical makeup of this object, some say was much different, meaning it was made maybe of an emanation of nickel, metallic, and thus obviously maybe lending to the fact that it's some sort of a solid craft. But, John, this is interesting. Cometary objects are so amazing. I believe we'll find out in a few weeks to come that the signature chemically of this object is nothing but a very important interstellar comet. But you never know. We always like to leave it here open, right, John, for the mysteries of the universe. We want to never say never, right? And that's the way we like to be.
Steve Cates, keep doing that to our minds, and you're also on WABCRadio.com and worldwide, 178 countries, 50 states, on midnight, Friday night, midnight, till 2 a.m. in the morning, and Saturday night, midnight to 2 a.m. in the morning. And you might be expanding your hours, I heard a rumor.
Well, John, I heard that rumor, too, and it's a high honor to do the Dr. Sky experience for all the listeners around the nation and around the world. And what do we say, John? Always remember to keep your eyes to the skies. We'll have great information. They can go to the Dr. Sky Experience podcast and get detailed updates on what you can see in the heavens. And this is stuff that's not fake. So take advantage of that and explore the universe.